So I'm now living in a really, really tough neighborhood, and I'm growing up, and my mum is working all the time. I'm a latchkey kid, and I'm hanging around with, shall we say, the average person from my neighborhood. Now, let me tell you something about the average person in my neighborhood. This is how, when they grow up, this is what happens. Around about the age of 13, you start to realize you've only got 2 years of school left, because everybody in my neighborhood left school by the time they were 16. So about 15 years old, you're pretty much out the door and you're working. And this still hasn't changed in London, by the way, from what I understand. So at 13 years old, here's what we do. We're looking for work. All right? Now, the best thing you can hope for in that part of London at the time was to work in a barrow in Thangue Road Market. That was a pretty big ambition. And receive stolen goods on the side. All right? And to this day, when I tell people, you know, it's funny, I remember at Christmas time, we never used to go to the stores first, we used to go to the pub first, right? And find out what was available to buy. You sit down next to some guy and you say, oh, I'm doing my Christmas shopping. Yeah, what are you doing? I said, oh, I don't know, like a few things for me girlfriend, yeah. So what do you want, like a stereo or something? Yeah. Do you want a new one or a used one? That's how we did our Christmas shopping. So I'm running this life, and it's not a pretty good life. I've got a bit of a criminal record happening. My mum's pulling her hair out. And a friend of mine by the name of John, he called me up one day and he said, I'm going down to this theatre of mine. We don't say THs in London, we say for a TH. Not theatre, but theatre. We don't say T's either, it's better, butter. So they don't say butter, better, they say butter. So I'm going down to the theatre. I thought, what theatre? What are we going down there for? I said, oh, they've got, you know, like plays and things. I said, plays, what are you doing down there? I said, oh no, it's fun and all that. I said, what's wrong with you? You a woofter or what? I said, no. I said, nothing like that. He said, actually, it's quite fun. He said, listen, I heard you sing and stuff. He said, you're all right. He said, why don't you come down and audition? I said, what do you want to do that for? He said, just come on down. I said, I'm not going down there, John. I said, it's full of woofers and stuff. I'm not having none of that. I'm not having more back against you. No one. He said, come on, just go. He said, listen. He said, you've got to think of it this way. He said, if they're all woofers, who's looking after the birds? That's a translation, that means women. And I'm a streetwise kid, so I went, all right, I'll be down in 5 minutes. So I went down there to pick up women. And what happened was this, I had the audition, it was a total joke, I thought I'd get thrown out. I didn't get thrown out. And about 2 days later, John came back to me, he said, I've just been down to the theatre, guess what? I said, what? He said, you got a role. I got a what? You got a role. I said, nah, come on. Really? He says, yeah. He says, you got a role. He says, a big one too. He says, you got Kaniki in Greece. I went, I said, bollocks. No way. Bollocks is a swear word in England, by the way. Don't use it randomly. I said, all right. I said, look, I'll come down. But John, listen, there's nothing. He said, just come down. We're doing a read through and singing a couple of songs and stuff. I said, all right. So I go down there, and the first person I'm introduced to is Cecil. And Cecil at the time was my worst nightmare. Because Cecil was from South Africa, just like your mate Jonathan was up there. Has that sort of accent, you know, is it? Except Cecil did this. And he had big curly hair. Oh, David, I'm so happy to see you. I'm like, oh, no way, no, John. Don't leave me with this bleeding woofter, no way, right? He said, no, he's all right. He says, all right, he's going to be ramming up my arse. I said, no. Cecil pulled me aside, because Cecil, I tell you, and Cecil must have had bigger balls than I thought he did. Because I was a street kid, I was a tough kid. And he took me aside, and he pretty much pinned me up against the wall. I don't mind telling you, and this is not a corporate crowd, so I can tell you right now, I was shitting bricks. I'm standing there, and I've got a woofter with his arm on me. But thankfully, I've got me back to the wall. I'm all right. And this turned into this. He said, now you listen here, David. What? He said, I know you don't like me because I'm a puff. He said, but you have talent literally oozing out of you. He said, don't you dare fucking waste it. And I listened to him. I don't know why I listened to him. For that 5 minutes I thought, well, I'm not going to hit him. I'll go in, I'll sing. By the end of that particular session, I'd sort of realised that, you know what, it wasn't bad. Rizzo was really hot, that helped. And she was Swedish. Rizzo was really hot. So I ended up and I probably just found what I could do in life. And it was pretty much a good thing. Because I did leave school at 15. And people say to me now, you know, like, oh, it's, you're good at what you do and stuff like that. And I said, yeah. I said, the truth of the matter is, I said, it's pretty much all I can do. Because I left school at an early age. I was dyslexic a little bit. People thought I was just stupid, but they might have been right, but I was actually a little bit dyslexic. And here I am. My great-grandmother was wonderful because I think she did bring out a lot of humour in me. We used to spend a lot of time in her room doing silly little things, impersonating commercials. She liked the way I used to impersonate a guy called Tommy Cooper, who the British people would know. And so that's sort of what got me to here. Eventually, coming to Canada was a good thing. I was a rugby player, came over here on a tour in '81. So by the time '84 came around, and the problem with living in a bad neighbourhood is that as much theatre as I was doing at the time, I was still running with the same boys and girls that I'd always run with, and I got in trouble when I was getting into more trouble. And by '84, they were enjoying it, I wasn't, and I decided to come over here because I had that wonderful thing called the Canadian passport. And for about 3 years I didn't do any sort of theatre. I wanted to, but I didn't do anything because I didn't know how. But what I did do was something that I've never actually regretted. I got into sales. And I sold vacuums door to door. At the age of 19. Hello darling, would you like an Electrolux or what? That was me. And I did really well at it, and I did so well in fact that, mainly because most people didn't stick around in that job for very long, they actually made me a manager. And they made me a manager, and I was running a telemarketing room, and I was also training guys who were twice my age how to sell vacuums and stuff like that. So, the next person I'm going to tell you about, I'm out of time, aren't I? Where's Michelle? I'm out of time? No. Alright, a couple of minutes then. The next person I ran into was a fellow by the name of Damon Redfern. And Damon really did things for me in Canada. What happened was this, is I graduated from vacuums to selling cars. It is actually a graduation. and I saw an ad in the paper for a thing called His Majesty's Feast. Now, medieval times exist now, but back then this was a cabaret show. It was like King Henry VIII and his court jesters and serving wenches and all that kind of thing. It was actually a pretty good place. And what happened was I saw this and I knew what it was, so I went and auditioned. And totally green, I walk in, I managed to swing the time off by doing a dealer trade, right? So I'd come from Mississauga and I'd come to pick up a car, and then on my way back on my dealer trade for my lunch, I stepped into His Majesty's Feast. So I'm there like in this blue suit, and there I am, right? And I've still got the swagger going on, right? And I walk in, and I'm with all these theatre people who have been training, like, and they've gone to university and all that kind of stuff. I've been out of theatre for a couple of years, and I never had any formal training. And I walk in, and Damon, who was the artistic director, was there, and there was a guy whose name I don't remember, and then there was another guy called Stephen Elias, and Stephen actually owned His Majesty's Feast. And anyway, so he says to me, oh, hello David, he says, so what are you doing for us today? So I come to audition. I didn't have a monologue. He said, have you got a monologue? And I said, what's that? Oh, it's like a paragraph of stuff. Well, what do you want me to say? Oh, well, don't worry about it. What song do you have for us? Do you have some music? No. Well, what were you going to sing for us? Well, I think I'll do a song called The Dog Shit Shuffle. Only thing I could think of was a band called Darts did this thing about a guy like who kept treading in dog poo. It's the only thing I could think of at the time. I had no sheet music for it. I couldn't play the piano. Stephen was trying to play the piano. It wasn't working or anything like that. So I went up, I did my version of The Dog Shit Shuffle, and I walked out of there. And what happened after that was this. was basically Stephen and the other guy who was a general manager turned around to Damon and said, well, what a waste of time that was. And Damon said, are you kidding me? He said, the guy's perfect for this place. We need an innkeeper and he's a used car salesman. And he gave me a very rough time. He hired me on. He fought for me like crazy to stay in that place. I didn't know this until many years later because I was just so naive about stuff. And I did get into a lot of ruckus with a lot of the guys that had been going to school for this for years and years and years. And, you know, there was a lot of... but I could always manage to win people over with humour and charm, and a British accent usually helps. Gets me a lot of good service in places.
What did it mean to you to be born Canadian?
So that's my little story. If you found some inspiration in it, if you found some perspiration in it, that's all good and well. And I hope you enjoy it. Good night.